The last dawn over Varian felt thin, pale, and hollow. The sky was a washed sheet of gray, as if the world itself had already surrendered. Villages lay in silence. Forests no longer carried the songs of the wind. Even the rivers ran slower, as though the water feared to move. The invaders had come 3 cycles earlier, and every sunrise since had grown dimmer under their shadow. The people of Varian fought, but their weapons cracked, their barriers shattered, and their courage thinned until it felt like dust in their hands. Hope was a memory, they whispered, but no longer believed. Lyra stood on the crumbled balcony of the ancient tower overlooking her home valley. She was young, not yet seasoned by war, yet the war had marked her more than any training ever could. Her people once believed the tower would stand for 1,000 years. It lasted only until the second assault. Now shards of stone and metallic debris lay across the floor. She tightened her cloak around her shoulders and watched the horizon with eyes that no longer dared expect anything. Behind her, Elder Tyron entered the broken chamber. He moved carefully, favoring his left leg, wounded from the last battle. His voice carried the tiredness of a leader who had spent every breath trying to keep his people alive. "They are returning," he said, looking toward the northern ridge. Lyra followed his gaze. A dark mass moved across the ridge like a swarm of iron blades cutting through the fog. The invaders. Again, they came daily now, crushing what remained of resistance. But this time something felt different. They were coming faster, maybe eager to end the last living pockets of defiance. Lyra's heart tightened. "Then this is it," she whispered. Tyron said nothing. He did not comfort her with a lie. Even if he wished to, he no longer had the strength for it. Every strategy had failed. Every request for aid had gone unanswered across every channel in the stars. All eyes they once trusted had vanished. Messages were ignored. Varian was small, poor, and unimportant in the cosmic scale. No power saw value in risking their fleets for its survival. The invaders came because they could. That was all. Down below, villagers gathered, clutching each other as alarms echoed through the valley. Mothers held their children close. Farmers carried crude weapons fashioned from broken tools. Warriors who had lost their units stood silent, faces carved with grief. The air throbbed with resignation. Lyra bowed her head. "We fought," she said, "but we have reached our final hour." Tyron exhaled slowly. "If this is the end, then let us face it standing." He placed a hand on her shoulder. She took comfort in the steady weight, even as despair gnawed inside her. She turned back toward the horizon, expecting death to come swiftly. But then the clouds shifted. A tremor rolled across the sky, low at first, then rising like a roar. The sound made everyone freeze. The invading forces paused on the ridge. Their metallic armor gleamed under the stir of heavy air. The fog twisted as though stirred by an unseen current. Lyra narrowed her eyes. Something was descending above the ridge. Dark silhouettes, sharp and angular, breaking through the cover of clouds. At first she feared it was another enemy fleet. But the shapes were too clean, too symmetrical, too deliberately crafted. They moved in disciplined formation, and their engines did not scream like the invaders' machines. Instead, they hummed with controlled force, resonating like thunder held within a cage. Tyron's eyes widened. Those are not their craft. Lyra felt her breath catch. Then who are they? The invaders reacted first. Their assault ships deployed shields. Their ground units activated weapons, preparing to strike upward. They presumed themselves ready. They were not. A single fighter from the descending formation ignited its rear. Engines and dove, swift, precise. It moved like a blade thrown by a giant. A beam of bright energy burst from its flank and tore through the lead ship of the invader fleet. The explosion shook the ridge. Lyra and Tyron staggered back as flaming metal spiraled into the valley. The remaining fighters broke formation and streaked downward like falling stars. Every strike hit with terrifying accuracy. Invader ships exploded one after another, their shields collapsing as though they were made of paper. Ground units scrambled in confusion. The air filled with the thunder of destruction. The villagers watched, stunned. Warriors who had lost hope suddenly felt their hearts pound again. No one spoke. No one dared. It was as if the sky itself had awakened. Lyra gripped the railing. Who fights like that? Tyron swallowed. Only one world is rumored to have fighters that fierce. The clouds parted fully then, revealing the insignia on the wings of the descending crafts. A mark simple, yet unmistakable. A circle divided by 3 lines. A symbol feared and respected in equal measure across many corners of the galaxy. Earth. Lyra blinked, struggling to believe it. Earth, the distant world described in fragmented tales. A world said to be harsh, volatile, shaped by fire and storms. A world whose people some called reckless, others called unstoppable. Some even whispered the word monsters, not for cruelty, but for their ability to endure what would break others. We requested aid from dozens of worlds, Lyra said softly. But not from them? Tyron nodded. We never thought they would hear us. But they had come. The battle above the ridge intensified. Earth fighters moved with impossible precision. One spiraled between 2 enemy ships and unleashed twin bursts that detonated both. Another skimmed just above the ground, scattering ground troops with shockwaves. A larger Earth vessel broke through the cloud line, descending with authority. Its cannons pulsed, delivering heavy strikes that ripped through armored invader carriers. For the first time in cycles, the invaders were losing. For the first time, the people of Varian felt something rise inside them. Not fear, not sorrow. Hope. The ground trembled again. This time from landing thrusters. A squadron of Earth dropships descended into the valley, kicking up dust and wind. Their doors opened. Soldiers stepped out, clad in flexible armor that looked far lighter than anything the invaders used. Their helmets reflected the light, hiding their faces, but their posture radiated confidence. They moved without hesitation, checking their surroundings, securing perimeters, assisting civilians. One soldier approached Lyra and Tyron. He removed his helmet. His face was young, but his eyes carried a depth hardened by experiences she could not imagine. His hair was short, his jaw set with determination. Yet when he spoke, his voice carried warmth. We received your distress pulse, he said. Sorry it took us a while. Lyra stared at him. We sent that pulse cycles ago. No one answered. He nodded. We were far. But your message reached one of our relay ships. And where we come from, leaving a cry for help unanswered is not an option. Tyron bowed. You have saved us. The soldier shook his head. Not yet. The invaders will regroup. They always do. Even as he spoke, the remnants of the invader forces pulled back beyond the ridge. Their retreat was frantic, but organized enough to signal they planned to strike again. They would not leave a world they had invested so much blood to conquer. The soldier looked to the sky. We will hold them off. But we need your people to stay together. Lyra studied him. He was calm despite the chaos. There was a gravity in his stance that steadied her. What is your name? She asked. Ray, he said simply. Tyron stepped closer. Ray, why did Earth come? We are not allies. We are not close. We are not even significant. Ray looked at the valley, at the broken homes, at the frightened civilians seeking shelter. Because you asked, he said. Lyra felt a sting in her eyes. It was such a simple answer. Too simple. Yet real. Ray turned back to his squad. Secure the tower perimeter. Prepare medical kits. Get civilians inside safe zones. They moved with swift coordination. Lyra watched them, struck by their discipline. These humans carried an aura of resolve that seemed to challenge even the weight of despair. She wondered how a species with bodies softer than metal could fight with such ferocity. As the day stretched, more Earth ships arrived. Engineers set up rapid deployment shield generators. Medics treated the wounded. Command units analyzed enemy movement. Within hours, a defensive network had formed around the valley, stronger than anything Varian had ever built. Night fell, but the sky glowed with blue lines of Earth technology. Lyra walked among her people, comforting them, guiding them, giving them reasons to breathe again. Everywhere she passed, she heard whispers. They came for us. They came from so far. They fight like storms. She found Ray near one of the temporary shield pylons, checking its alignment. The soft blue glow illuminated his face. "You are not afraid," she said. Ray glanced at her. "I am always aware of danger, but fear does not decide what I do." She hesitated before asking, "How do humans fight invaders that terrify us?" Ray paused. His gaze swept across the valley. "Where we come from, fear is common. We were shaped by a world that never gave us comfort. So we learn to stand even when everything tells us to fall." She studied him. "But this is not your war." Ray shook his head. "Wars do not need to be ours for us to stop cruelty." Before she could reply, alarms blared. The invaders launched a second assault. This time, they brought their heaviest machines. Massive walkers with armored hulls. Carriers loaded with explosives. Swarms of drones designed to overwhelm defenses. Ray snapped his helmet on. Positions. The Earth soldiers moved immediately. Shield projectors flared to life. Earth fighters launched from hidden bays, streaking into the sky faster than before. The valley lit.